to do anything from that? Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let the roll call show all board members are present except for Melissa Lynch. And we will move on to our student showcase. The Princeton High School coffee cart.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
I think Mr. Semi is going to pull up the PowerPoint that you have.
Perfect. I guess we can start with introductions. I'm Sabrina Loscheider.
I'm Grace Dearden. We are both special ed teachers up at the high school. And something that we do with our students is we run a coffee cart for the staff. So the students are responsible for organizing everything, making all of the coffee, and then delivering it out to staff as we move through the first hour period of Tuesdays and Thursdays.
This is during a career math class. So it's one of their ways that they're focusing on kind of those career skills. So a day in the life, they start out, they have to wash their hands. That's like the first thing they all know, the bell rings, and actually the majority of them get up and that's the first thing that they go to do. 1 to 2 students will go with a staff member to get cold drinks from the school store. And then other students start making coffee and tea to order based on the list that we have. They have to help us find the correct drink from our cart, and then they have to help fill the water in the Keurigs when they're emptying. So they're pretty good about knowing like, oh, it's telling me I need to add water. Once all those drinks are prepared, labeled with the teacher's name and on the cart, they begin delivering. They're expected to stay calm and quiet in hallways, and then as well as being calm and quiet in the classroom, trying not to interrupt. And we really focus on their communication skills because all of them are in speech. So whether they have a device or say it in person, they're also working on making sure that they say you're welcome and have a good day to the staff member that they deliver to.
So
Just in case.
these are just a couple of pictures. And then the next slide is a video we took with our students. We took a video of each student that helps us and asked them what their favorite part of the coffee cart is. So that's what this is. So something that we started this year with this, because we did coffee cart last year as well. Amy Smith, our speech language pathologist up at the high school, has started doing push-in with us first hour as well, which has really given us the opportunity to utilize those devices with the students. So Marshall was the first one with the device. We literally put that stuff in there this morning and he hopped right to it. So he was super proud of himself. And that's something he would not have been able to do last year. So this has been a really good opportunity to do that push-in as well.
And then we also went around and asked some staff what they think, what they liked about, notice about the growth that we're getting from the students, and then what they enjoyed about having coffee.
So something that is really nice is working with the DCD population. Most of them don't get out into the gen ed population very often, especially not like the science classes, the math classes. They're more elective based, excuse me. And so this gives them the opportunity to see and interact with those teachers that they don't usually interact with, which for a lot of them is super important because that's where they really get out of their shell and have the ability to grow in that communication and those social skills. So that's been super awesome and super helpful this year.
Some growth that we would like to see, that we'd like to continue working on and adding to our coffee cart is shopping skills, which is going with our communication skills and money skills. So currently, we're not allowed to like pay for the coffee cart cards with cash. So that kind of takes away from them like working on that money stuff. And we haven't been able to get out to Walmart and have them do the shopping. So we're hoping to move into switching it around to being able to do that eventually.
Yep.
So then we just have a few more pictures and any questions?
Well, it's super cool to see how many of our team members, staff members participate in the coffee.
That wasn't even all of them.
Yeah.
And so to see our team members really embrace this, is really cool to see. And you're right. I mean, our students are interacting with teachers that many of them might not have throughout their high school experience. So it's a good way for them to just kind of be part of the whole school and the whole system. And super cool. Now it's a business,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, I know there's lots of goals, and things you're accomplishing with this, but part of it is it's a business, right? Is part of the goal for them to make a profit, or is it to just so they can break even, or is that even not even part of the conversation?
It more or less right now, I think, is just to break even. We actually fund it through the school store because I also run the school store, and so we buddy those up together, which is how we're able to offer more options with that, the soda options as well as the coffee options. So I think we're mostly just breaking even right now, so we can offer it to staff for a decent price. and give them those options and then continue to allow it to be there for the students to do.
We do plan on kind of refiguring career math to being where they would be using this as almost a way of, we'll have like Grace Bucks or,
Yep. A
you
money
know,
system.
Lowsider Bucks, and we'll have like little Bitmojis of our faces on the money,
Yep.
and they'll be earning paychecks per se to earn things at the end of the week that they can pay for, or we time and things like that.
Yep.
So we do plan on doing it that way. It just wouldn't be an actual cash.
Yep.
Board members, questions?
Sounds like a great program. Good job.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
Very great idea.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you, thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you. All right, our next item is citizen comments. Oh, okay. All right, is it Chelsea?
Yeah.
You wanna come up and join us?
Give me a stand.
Hi, welcome. Stands fine.
Okay. So I printed off 6. I apologize. Do you mind if I give these to you guys?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I actually emailed them.
I can do that.
Oh, perfect. There's 2. Yeah. I took a photo of it on my phone, so it's not.
Brennan?
Yes, Brennan. Okay, so my concern comes with like, when we split to this tier 1, tier 2 busing system, what I feel wasn't, I guess, considered were the little ones having to walk so far. So I talked to them because my little one walks 0.2 specifically, like, and I put a little map on there so you can see it. It's 5 minutes on Google, and that's for an adult. And when you put those little legs in there, you're talking 8 to 10 minutes. You're not including, it is dark in the morning and they get scared. You know, you're not including snow and snowbanks and cars and stuff like that. And it's very concerning, I guess, as a parent. And I talked to the school district and I had emailed Ben on this, but there's nothing that they can do that they said for this year or for me, you know, and okay, but now it's to the point where I'm going, there are parents that are like, hey, I have to go to work and don't have the luxury right now of being able to drive their kid to school. And so like I put different bullet points or like why I was concerned, why my child's concerned, you know, and she walked with them last year a little bit. And do you want to tell them any of the things that, you know, worried you? It's okay.
Hi. A couple things that worried me was in the winter when the snowbanks got really high. My mom would watch us through the windows, but she couldn't see us. And because the roads were icy, that it made me nervous with my 2 little brothers that they would get hurt or something. And it is a far walk.
You're good. I appreciate you're good. You did good. You know, so like I just would really appreciate it if you guys would think about like lowering the distance just for like the little kids. I understand like the bigger kids, they can handle it, or you know, they're more responsible. Like she's now on tier 2 and I feel more secure with it, even though she said to me, you know, like she got the bus today and she said that she was just a little worried because it is a far distance and she was worried, you know, like somebody's gonna take her, you know, like that eyesight isn't there. You know, like, and I put on there crossing the streets. I personally, I do not care how busy or how, you know, slow that street is. I do not think that a kindergartner should have to cross a street to get to a bus stop. Like, I don't think that they're cognitive enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna walk across the street and people are going to be actually paying attention. So I mean, just little things like that I wish would be taken into consideration. If not for this year, changing it to a lower distance, but definitely for next year. And like I said, I know that this isn't with my kids anymore because I've been turned down, but this is for kids coming up and for parents. Like, I just want them safe. So thank you guys for listening to me. I really appreciate it. Like, if you guys have any comments or anything, she would be more than happy to answer. I would be more than happy to answer. I tried to put as many concerns as I could, and that's from my kids too. So,
Okay. Well, we
Thank you.
have your contact information here.
yeah,
Your phone number and your address. Usually during citizen comments, we don't have like discussions.
yeah,
It's an opportunity for you to give your information, which we really appreciate.
Yeah.
You coming and, speaking and then giving us something to think about here too. So,
yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to board member committee reports. Let's start with Chad.
I love the report.
John?
I had agenda planning, the task force meeting, last week, and then I attended, high school conferences last night.
I have nothing to report.
Sue?
I had, community engagement, committee just before this meeting. I also attended, the community engagement task force meeting, and there are two things that I wrote down that I wanted to bring back. It was a really powerful night because they shared their hopes and dreams and things that they needed. And two things that struck me. Principal Ryan said when he left in 2007, came back in 24. Maybe he started in 2000, came back in 24. And there's less people that work at PHS than there was then. And he said, we need more people. We're in the people business. And that really struck me. That if you go in the teachers' mailboxes or just the whole mailbox, it used to be two sides, it's now one. So we're doing a lot with a lot less people. So that was one. And then Mr. Lab said, 30 years ago, we all look the same, meaning the districts around us. Now we don't look the same. And we're asking our kids to participate in way different facilities than they see around when they go to other places, that they're competing in way different facilities than when they come home and look at our own facilities. So I just thought that that was so telling about we have some huge needs, both operating for people and facilities for our kids. And then I just wanted to make a note. I don't know if you had a chance to read Ben's Tigers notes, but that was kind of a follow-up to what we talked about in the evaluation of going back to one of those communication pieces. And if you didn't read them yet, watch the video on the American Indian lesson.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that, you really need to watch it. Also, the video on student voice from Voices Framework and Youth Encounter Frontiers.
Youth Frontiers, yeah.
They're just amazing pieces. And then, but I think what struck me the most was the section that Ben put in there from the principals, and it's their notes to their staff. And when you look at how much work is going on in those buildings, and without seeing that, there's so many of those things I would have no idea. And I was just blown away by how much stuff is going on behind the scenes, or not behind the scenes, but maybe that we don't see as board members. So I really appreciated that addition, and those are constantly updated. So you can look back when they started communicating with their staff all the way till this month. And they're just excellent. And I would really encourage you to take a look at those things.
Yes, thank you.
That's all.
I attended the community task force and I had agenda planning and was also on the public engagement beforehand. We don't have any student council here tonight.
They're on track.
They're at
No, I think
cross country. Ben, superintendent report.
Well, thanks, Sue, for some of those comments. I was gonna share some of that. I was super proud of that American Indian work, and I just sent you one link to one of the age levels, lesson, and that wasn't even the whole lesson, it was just a video as part of it. So I think I'll follow up and send you all of the grade levels and the whole lesson, because each of them have videos embedded. But you know, I was telling our team this morning, because we had an admin team meeting this morning, I said, I'm so proud of our team, because, you know, every year you identify things like, geez, we need to do better at that. Or, you know, that's an area we need to improve on. And there's so many things this year that I see that us kind of checking off the list of things that we've said that we need to do or should do, and we're doing it. And that's one of those things, right? Because in statute, there's certain days designated that the public schools are required to have specific lessons on certain things, right? And Indigenous People Day is one of those things. And that was something we didn't have something very strong in place prior, and now we feel like it is pretty darn strong, and we're happy with that. So that's just one example of many things that, you know, we've talked about doing, and now it's happening and it's coming to fruition. Another thing on my list just is tiger care, right? I mean, we've talked about about doing that for 20 years of being an administrator. And it's so cool to see that happening, right? And I got a really strong report on how that's gone and kicked off, and it's already doing everything that we had intended to do, even with a soft launch. So we're excited about that. Climate culture wise, you know, of course, in our continuous improvement plan, it's all about student learning, all about student growth, but the conditions for learning has to be there. And I feel like we've had a very strong start of the school year with our team members setting the tone along with the students on good positive behavior within our schools and treating each other with dignity and respect. And just a really strong start there of laying out our positive behavior interventions supports our what we call that Tiger Pride, right, in a lot of places. So that's been great. Embedding our habits of a tiger into trying to teach skills for our students to be able to have self-regulations to follow those expectations. And you know, there's certain different areas that we found that we need to improve in, and I'm hopeful that that's what the Voices framework is going to help with, and then also that respect retreat. I will try to send out the dates of each of the respect retreats, because I'm telling you, if there's ever a time that I would love a board member to pop in for half an hour to see something cool, it'd be that. It's just a super cool emotional day that brings a whole grade level of students together in this. It's very intentional experience from start to finish, and it really is impactful. And we're hopeful that that's going to be pretty awesome. And then the Voices framework, we are going to production actually next week on that. So again, it's hard to explain what that is unless you probably would need to look at that video, but it's more of a staff development component for us to hear the voices of our students, to get this perspective on like what's really happening. Like what a teacher might be out in, you know, in front of the class and think that certain things are happening, but the students might feel a whole nother thing happening. So it's a way for us to hear the voices of the students, hear a day in the life of the students, and we'll do some interviews, and then our staff members will be able to have an opportunity to listen to their voices. Had a great meeting today in our admin council, and the terminology I was using, and I see some of them are in here right now. I said, it's time for us to start chopping wood and carrying water. And which means that, you know what, we've been working so hard in the last few years to put the infrastructure and the processes in place. Everything, the stage is set for us to soar. And when we talked about starting the school year, is really about moving that needle for student learning, student growth, student achievement in the areas of reading and math. And now it's the time for us to dig in, get our hands dirty, and get the work done. Because there's no excuses. We have the curriculum, we got the training, we got the expertise in the teachers, right? We have things cooking and dialed in. Now we need to start seeing results. And so that's why we're doing spend a lot of time looking at student data in trying to pinpoint and differentiate our instruction to meet individual needs of students. Last thing I'll just reference is I appreciate people's willingness to come out to our community engagement task force meetings. It is powerful and has been successful. The number one thing that I need from you all is to just keep talking to people about going to these things and inviting them to come and attending. Because we can tell the greatest story and give all the information in the world, but if nobody comes, it really is obviously pointless. So appreciate you to keep that in the forefront. With that, I'll end my remarks unless you have further questions.
Anybody have any questions for Ben?
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Ben. We will move on to item 7 to approve our agenda. Is there a motion to approve our agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Don, seconded by Chad. Any comments or questions on the agenda? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda is approved. We will move on to item 8, discuss and act on previous board meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve both of those minute meetings as presented? Motion made by Eric Minks. Is there a second? Sue has seconded that. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. We'll move on to consent agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Sue, second by Eric Stramberg. Any comments or questions on that?
I just have a comment, just a point of information for the board, because I see that the Princeton Online Minnesota K-8 handbook is there. We're up to 85 students in that program now, so that's another uptick. So I think every time I've talked to you and briefed you, it's gone up a little bit, so.
Excellent. You do.
That's like an amazing handbook as well.
Very detailed.
There is a lot of very detailed and good work on that.
All right.
It's like starting a brand new school.
There's quite a bit of editing. Yeah. Rebecca and I work together closely.
All right. We'll go ahead and vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent is approved. We will move on to our first information item is the primary school update.
Oh my goodness, you get to all meet our brand new primary school principal?
Hello, I'm Shannon Breskowitz. I recognize some of your faces. I don't think I've met all of you yet. So I'm excited to share some of the great things that are happening at our school. I was just reflecting on a kindergarten class yesterday, and I was walking into class today and I said, wow, you guys are doing a great job. And like, yeah, we've been here 29 days. So in 29 days, there's a lot that has happened. So I'm really excited to be here. So this is you guys know, my first year, and I've really been here school 2 months. So the first thing in here is linked. So if you're in the agenda, you can see the slideshow, and then our Big Rock action plan is linked there. And I don't think you need to go to that right now, but it is there. And this is a continuous plan that we're working on throughout the year. So we look at it and review it in our different committees and make changes if needed. So we're looking at, that started last year, and they'll continue it, making changes throughout the year. So just the primary school vision statement. So we foster love for learning where students succeed in all areas of development. So these are our collective commitments to our students, to our school, and these are the things that we work towards every day. So this is our current enrollment. This is actually from October 1st, so it could change a little. I feel like we will lose a student, they'll move somewhere, and then we'll get a student. So they're probably pretty similar. So kindergarten, we have 45 students in our Spanish immersion program this year. So we have 2 sections, 156 English with 201 in kindergarten, and then first grade is at 217 students, 36 Spanish immersion, and 181 English. And then second grade is 185 with 36 in Spanish immersion and 221. So right now we're at about 639 students. And I said that can be off by a couple of students depending. I think there was a family that's just going to enroll, this week too, so.
Is that first and second grade Spanish immersion, are they multi-age?
Yes, so we have a first grade section and a second grade section, and then we have a grades 1 and 2 together. So there are 12 first graders and 12 second graders in that combo class. And the teacher is doing a fabulous job. She's having 2 different curriculums. She's teaching the standards for both sections, and they've found a way to make that work. The M&T volunteer, not volunteer, but intern, thank you. They do a good job working together to make sure that those needs are met in both groups of students. So this is from our science class. I love that Mr. Osler makes learning really fun. He tries to take students outside as much as possible. And so this is an example of the students are walking just along the woods, and he put different items in the woods that were camouflage. And so that you could see the things that would actually blend in and the things that you couldn't. So I just love that they are learning that vocabulary, and he's making it hands-on. And so the picture on the left is him asking the questions of the things they saw, and then they go in and look closer. So that was just I happened to be outside. I saw them walk out and wanted to go out and see what they were doing. So just more learning. The one last is in a kindergarten classroom. She was doing a brain break, but even during the brain break, it was the letter song and getting students moving around, but still working on letters. And then the right side is our PE class. So again, making learning fun, and those are different classes that kids are doing. So these are our goals for the year. So our math goal will increase from 62.77% to 64 in the spring. And so that's using our data from our fast testing. And then for reading, we're looking at an increase from 50.54 to 52.4. So again, that's looking at the data from last year. So hopefully you can see this now. My computer is showing the graphs really weird, so I'm glad this looks better. So when we look at our testing, so we use A rating for testing. If you look at kindergarten, first grade, it looks different because it's what's expected for those ages. So like kindergarten, they're doing letters and numbers, whereas first grade's doing a little bit more, and then second grade they're doing more reading. So I feel like there's a bigger change in test scores when you're looking at those specific skills, because each test is so different. But so our goal is we want most of our kids in the low risk or exceeds. So that's our goal. So this is just to start beginning of the year, so about 50% in that area. And so our goal was, what was it, 54%. So that's what we're working towards to help our students get where they need to be. And then math exceeds, and then low risk. So again, those are the areas that we're looking for. And we do have interventions for our students that are in those high risk categories with our access teachers, and then we also have Title I teachers. So students are getting extra support, and in some cases they call them double dips. They're getting those really tier 3, those strong interventions to help them get where they need to be. So first grade, so low risk 28%. So again, that's what we're trying to get more of those kids in that area. And so first grade, we're starting to see more of the reading skills, and so we'll see that the growth throughout the year. First grade's pretty neat because you see a lot of growth as they're learning how to read. And then this is the math also. So you can see the low risk is much higher for math, which is a good place for us to be right now. And then kindergarten. So this is really exciting because these are just our kids that just came in the door. They've been living in school, as the kid told me yesterday, 29 days. And so 53% are at low risk. So this is just coming in. This is letters and letter sounds is the first thing that they're tested on. And then math is good too. So that's, we're looking at numbers, and those are all the things that they're going to learn, in kindergarten. So the Princeton paradigm, I know you've seen this many, many times. So these are the things that I'm looking for when I'm in classrooms, and making sure that teachers are using these different items in their instruction and make sure they have strong instruction for all of our students. And then our habits of a tiger, same thing. These are all the areas we look at. So action line highlights, just really quick. So we're still continuing. A lot of the items are continuation from last year. So this is our 3rd year using Super Kids as our reading curriculum, and really making sure that people are using the program with fidelity, that we're digging in and helping students get to where they need to. Whenever you start a new curriculum, it takes a little while, and I feel like we're in a good spot. in year three, the teachers are more comfortable with it and the students are learning what they need to and have those skills. So we're working on having all of our staff letters trained. So if they came in this year, they're taking, it's called OLA, the O-L and L-A, they pronounce it OLA. So it's for 1 year, but it's the science of reading. And so our teachers will be taking that. So after this year, all of our teachers will be trained, the ones that started this year. And then we'll continue with our small groups to differentiate for our students. And then the curriculum mapping, that's just making sure that we're getting to all the curriculum. Just some more pictures. So already this year, we had a climb theater come to our school and they do performances, so like plays. And this was a play about friendship. So it was really geared towards our K2 students. There's two groups of them. So they had the performance and got to remember what it's like to sit there and be active participants in the crowd, and they're excited and it was fun. And then already our fire department came and did some fire safety. That's a picture with kindergarten. And then climate and culture, again, we're working on, using our Tiger Pride and everything that we do. And we have Tiger Tune-Ups as a place where students can take breaks and help themselves get back on track to get back to class. And then we do a lot of recognition. So every Friday, students are called to power tickets to get prizes. We also do staff recognition too, because we know it's important to recognize our adults and keep our climate and culture in a good place for our building. And you can keep going, Jason. Okay, so MTSS, that's where we're looking for 80% of our students to meet targets. So that's where I was talking about the ADSES and and using our MTSS process to make sure that students are getting what they need with those interventions. And a few more pictures. These were just some that I took since school started. So just reading in classrooms, having fun on the playground, just the smiling faces. And then that's just last week. We had a really fun week with homecoming week and dress up days every week. Ben, now you can see my shoes. See them?
Yeah, like them.
And I
No,
have new
no,
shoes.
yeah.
No,
I came over to see them in person. I couldn't find
that was an
them.
observation. Yeah. So just we had a fun
How
week.
much
with
your
the kids.
shoes? Those are like fancy.
I
Those
know.
are like the in thing. You see everybody
Yeah,
wearing those
my
shoes.
kids already vet. Yes,
Those
that's my
Nike-
first pair of Jordans. Got them just for Princeton. So, all right. Any questions for me?
Where do you buy those?
Nike.com.
Like I need some.
Nike.com. You can get them in any color.
Well, you are 2 months into this, 3 months into this. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
It's good. There's a lot of observations right now. That's what I'm focusing on. So our first cycle of teacher observations for non-tenured probationary are due October 31st. So that's been, and I have 13 people that I've been working on, but I will get them all done. So I'm glad about that. But then it's a good opportunity for me to get in classrooms and get teachers' feedback. So that's really what I've been this week. Well, this whole month.
And thanks for bringing that up too, because that's a huge part of what principals do is the teacher evaluation process. And it's a ton of time and effort and work, but of course, on any given day, all good plans could change depending on what, is going on in the building, so. Really appreciate the work our principals do.
Yeah, I know all the staff I talk to at your school loves you, like they love having you, so it's definitely love having you there. They're
Ooh,
super.
I'm hearing that too.
I haven't heard like any negative things, which is really kind of. Honeymoon phase. Yes.
We don't want her head to get too big.
It's the honeymoon period, yeah.
No, you're doing a good job. Thank you for everything. And now, yeah, the board finally, some of the board members were probably on your hiring team, because had a very robust, large team.
So Eric, were you there?
Melissa.
And Melissa, okay. I recognize a lot of people, like when I see them, I'm like, I think they're on my interview team. I don't remember names, there's a lot of people that name.
Just know that everybody's here pulling for you, and we want you to succeed, man. We all picked you, and you have a huge responsibility, so, yeah, go get them.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for you to know that we have a super supportive board that's pro-education and pro educator and teacher and principal, so great to be in that environment.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You gonna run your own?
All right.
And Shannon, as I mentioned, don't think you have to stay.
Yeah, I'm
you can
gonna
leave.
head back.
You actually have
At the
time.
end of conference.
You're
Okay.
gonna wanna see this.
You might want to.
Yeah, you might wanna see John, yeah. For future reference.
Oh, come on up.
You need maybe some walk-up music?
No, but I know that none of you hired me. After 23 years, there's probably some not so positive things to say about me, but anyway.
No, that's all we're hearing. Positive.
Here anyway.
Positive.
I'm sure that's the case. So, yeah, update, go through, gonna be really similar, a lot of similar things happening at the intermediate school as the primary. So enrollment, 677, that's total enrollment for each grade level, so 230, 241, 206, and below that you can see how many of those students are in Spanish immersion. We have, how we've broken out Spanish immersions, we have 2 third grade classes, 1 fourth and 1 fifth. So splitting that 41 and then having 27 and 30. So 677 altogether. Priorities are very similar to what we had for a long time now, wanting to meet the needs of our kids where they're at. We're excited about having the curriculum that we have in place, and newer curriculum in the last couple of years that is helping us meet those needs. We've always been really strong at trying to build those relationships, and that's connected directly with the things that we've done with Habits of Tiger and PBIS or Tiger Pride. So continue just to keep building on that. This is the 20th year that we're using PBIS, year number 20, and it's been fun to be a part of all those 20 years. But it also takes some effort to keep it fresh and add new things and just make sure that you are not letting it, go to the wayside. So it always has to be on the forefront of your mind. Goals, similarly, wanting to have that increasing in both reading and math. So wanting to get to that 57.1%. And what our goal is focused on is having students grow. We obviously pay attention to the MCAs, but we really want to make sure our students are growing in addition to being proficient. Because a student can be proficient today in October. We want them to grow also. So that's just one indicator. Proficiency is one, but also making sure our kids are growing in both reading and math. Just wanted to share, this is just some overall data, and all this simply is looking at this is math, so it's by grade level. The red is students who they're predicting if nothing changes, if we only have a typical year of growth, those are the percentage of kids being in does not meet, partially meets, and exceeds. So our goal is obviously to beat those predictions for those kids who are in does not meets or partially meets. We want to make sure that we can help students grow. We are confident in the curriculum materials we have that we can do a nice job of helping those students grow. This is the same thing for reading. So just broken up where kids are currently standing as we took these assessments in September, early September. Something weird to the slide there. This is really one of the big rock areas, climate and culture, Tiger Pride. We want to make sure that we have that positive, safe environment for kids. We feel that having those relationships, having that positive environment encourages student growth. And so we feel without having that in place, we reduce the chances of students being successful. So really big about making sure we have those pieces in place, that we're supporting students academically and emotionally. The needs are definitely there. So taking that seriously. We'll do some of the PBS type assessments for our staff, students. We'll get feedback from students, parents, and staff as well, just to make sure that we're doing what we said we're going to do, doing it well. This is the second year of using Earn Your Stripes, or having students earning their stripes. And so breaking it down into those different areas: self-control, teachable, respectful, integrity, positivity, empathetic, and safe. And each month we highlight one of those specifically. And so this month we're talking a lot about teachable and what that looks like. And so we spend time talking with students about what you can do to be teachable this month. So it's just a good, again, like taking the Tiger Pride and keeping it alive. This was a good way to interject some some new, character traits and using the stripes. That's really well with the Tigers. We continue our second step lesson, so, there's 22 lessons, 21 lessons. We have lessons almost every full week of the school year, up and through to about the end of April, early May. Really good skills for students to learn, those social skills. That's something we've done for several years. Okay, I mentioned this. So teaching and reinforcing those expectations, focusing on learning stripes, recognizing students and staff. We do many different things to recognize staff as well. Can't just be students. If you're ever interested in watching a news program, we have a daily news program that we record the week before. You're welcome to take a peek at that. And then each year we have a Tiger Pride Family Night that's coming up on November 21st, 5 to 7 p.m. You're welcome to come and hang out in the kitchen or hang out with kids or families. A lot of fun things happening that night. We do serve them a meal and just have games and activities for that night. Just a good bring everybody together in the building type activity. This is something we've really leaned in on. So the district has been working with this whole idea of interrupting negative things happening. So maybe negative comments, negative behavior towards somebody. It could be racially motivated, but not necessarily. It could just be just somebody making a really poor choice and hurting somebody else's feelings. And so the idea of how do we interrupt that? And so we've been talking a lot about interrupting that negative behavior, that everybody can step up and say something to somebody, whether it's as simple as, hey, that's not cool, or hey, knock that off, hey, that's not okay. So we've been talking about being an upstander, doing that interrupting. It's been a focus for us since the first week of school. We'll continue talking about that, just trying to reduce some of those behaviors that we have seen in the past, trying to just reduce that. Like Shannon said, being able to meet kids where they're at, so wanting to have that 80% target of getting what we do, meeting the needs of at least 80% of our kids, and then who needs more and who needs even more. And so just, again, focusing on the multi-tiered system of support. I'd like to highlight this because I think it's pretty cool. Just the outdoor education system that we have, or locations we have, those 3 spaces outside of our school. Just really nice to be able to have those. And so we also partnership with the Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge. Our 4th graders go out 3 times a year for about 2.5 hours. And it's just a really good program to get to learn learn about nature and learn about environmental education. I do have a link here. I think this is, what is this? Let's make sure. Oh, so what we are invited to share with, they have a fall festival at the refuge every like the last Saturday in September. And so they invite us each year to share the videos we capture. We have a special use permit with the wildlife refuge to have cameras out there, and we share them back at the intermediate school. If you're interested in that type of thing, some pretty cool creatures that we've caught recently. I'm just gonna share one super small part that was like my favorite of all time. This is an interaction of a coyote and an otter. And so coyote seems to want to be playing with the otter, but the otter's not really interested. So I just thought it was, that's actually I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, so that is something.
Is that like a muskrat?
That's a beaver, Ben. It's okay. I mean, those are just animals. I mean, hard to tell by looking at that black and white image from a distance, but that's okay. Yes. So one thing that I've learned is a lot of different animals out at the refuge. We also have cameras by the middle school and also by in San Diego State Forest. Anyway, that's just kind of a fun extra hobby thing that I do and bring into the school. I love doing the wildlife stuff. Okay, operations, something we review every year with our staff, just how to communicate with each other, how to run a safe, well-maintained building. And we all do a great job of hiring amazing people to work for us. That's all I have. Any comments, questions? Anybody saying bad things about me or good things?
This is bad.
Okay, well, you take it offline. I just been.
Well, why don't, should ask this of Shannon, but, we had the other night at our task force meeting, we were kind of talking about hopes and dreams and things, a couple of principals had an opportunity to say, money was no object, what would they want, what would they need?
Yeah.
I'm really putting
You're
you on the
asking me that
spot here.
question?
Why, you got the whole school board here
I
to
can
hear.
give you some.
Yeah, I mean,
some
what
thoughts.
do you need? What would make what resources could we give the intermediate to make it better for everybody?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we have a need, we've seen an increase in mental health concerns, social emotional concerns. I spend a lot of my time, honestly, helping kids work through those situations. So I may be called to a special education space or even a classroom space, the student who's just struggling. I would like to spend more of my time doing more educational leadership things, but I spend a lot of time working with putting out fires. So for me, the mental health thing, that means social workers, deans of students, assistant principal type people, just people to help support some of the things that when we had a dean way back when, I felt I was super spoiled. I had someone who was working half-time, helping to balance some of those behavioral needs and some of those social emotional needs. Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, Ben, but that's kind of it. I mean, it comes down to people and helping free up time to be able to do more of that educational leadership piece.
Well, I think it's good for the board to have the opportunity to hear
Yeah.
that. I mean, you can make the connection to what Shannon just talked about with all of these teacher evaluations that she should be doing. Cause we ultimately want our principals, their number one focus to be on student learning and academics and educational and instruction, right? Okay, and when you had a dean to help support with some of that, your focus as a principal could be focused on some of that academic stuff. But, and any principal in the world will tell you that behavior issues will trump any plans that you have, if it's significant, right? So that's where, and I think that is probably one of the biggest examples, a perfect example to demonstrate like the kind of district we are, that is in the bottom, 15% tiered of revenue. And we receive over $3,000 less per pupil unit. Like that's the stuff we have to try and live through, whereas a good majority of our counterparts would have other supports.
Yeah, it would be very typical to have more staffing for a building this size. I don't want to make it seem like we're out of control, because we're not. It's just you have 3 to 5% of the kids who just have more needs, more social needs, maybe mental health concerns and needs. And so, but those 3 to 5% can take up support time, and that's just the reality of how things are.
Good. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you very much.
Longest standing principal maybe in the history of
I think I'm close.
Princeton.
I think
the
Owen
legend.
Benson was 25. Was he 25?
Oh, yeah.
My goal is to get to at least 25, so.
And then he'd like to negotiate a statue that will be put up in front of the school.
I think it's vandalized easily. The stop sign.
Someday there'll be controversy to tear down the statue.
There will be.
We'll let that be 50 years from now.
Let's not do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. All right, activities. Here, come join us.
I love that they're still going to the refuge.
Yeah,
When I was a fourth grade teacher, we did that.
I didn't realize we had cameras out there.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? And Roland Benson was the principal that hired me. He was leaving and Max ended up it was Max's first year when I came.
Max Orsky.
Yeah.
So I asked, we normally.
Stand for that.
No,
So we normally have activities come and give a presentation, just like all the buildings do. Darren was probably slated to go maybe next month or something. I asked him to come this month just because there were some questions about online ticketing. So I thought maybe he could just give a quick overview of activities as a whole, right? And then specifically talk about online ticketing, the good, the bad, the ugly related to it.
Okay, I came with ticketing stuff. Activities overall, I don't know, you can kind of really pick where we're having success. In the wins column, we've had some really good years. Fall is wrapping up right now. Our final home swimming meet is happening. I left a slobber knocker ninth grade football game with Foley. Their last contest of the year. Here's a team that hadn't won a game all year. Beats Hutchinson last Thursday, and we were down 32-38 to Foley when I left, and the onside kick was happening. So I think we ended up losing that one, but it was good stuff. Attendance at contests, we'll get to those, but enrollment in activities stays at about, we're at about 67-68% of the people are involved in something at the high school right now. We've had a influx of interest in clubs the last couple of years, but we haven't had a lot of, like Ryan said, we're kind of out of staff to staff them, so our clubs have kind of we've funneled kids that have a want and can't get a staff to watch them to join something that we have. But specifically why I'm here is just to look at GoFan and ticketing. For us, the overall feedback has been positive. For me, I get Debbie back probably about 6 hours a week because she's not counting money. You know, I can hear that and then the computer thing going off. So I had her poll her ticket people to see what we find to be the positives and the negatives and what outweighs that. Now, I understand that you've had some people contact you. I've had 2 people contact me, one indirectly and one directly. And we've had 5,571 tickets sold. And we have, like I said, two people that, I know Debbie knew one of them who had bought a season pass previously. And the other person at a football game was a bus driver who did not really have to pay, could have signed the clipboard and walked in. So, from my perspective, I was getting worried about, I have Debbie, who's a little older than I am, and everybody else is about my age, but most of the women that are doing the ticketing, are leaving with a cash box of, you know, like Friday would have been $8,000 to go from the ticket booth to the very poorly lit back of door 30 to get into the school to get the money in, and then they count it until just about the dance is just about over. And they come back and get their third signature for the deposit by Wednesday of the next week. We woke up on Monday and found out that our ticket, you know, we sold this many online, this many at the gate, this many adult, this many student, this many seniors, and we had a total for that. So the ease of that is good. What Ben and I had talked about, we don't like that it costs $1 every time you buy a ticket. I mean, that feels like it's a little steep, but for people that live here, they can buy a pass or an individual ticket. Like we sold a few Friday tickets where kids were coming in saying, I don't have a card and I want to come. And we're like, well, give us your money. And then we just gave them a pass to get in. Emily sent this to you. This is pretty neat too.
I like that.
You know, this is my 15th year being the AD, and I don't know how much money we make on tickets. I know that it's some, and it rolls into the general fund, but Michelle, that's a big number. There's
I know, and look at how much safer our money is.
I know, but look at, there's 2 numbers before the comma. I was like, doo.
So who sent us that?
This
Debbie.
Oh,
that was what part of Debbie's?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was as of yesterday. One thing Eric said that he'd heard some people talk about at swimming is that we're advertising a $7 and $5 ticket price, 7, 5, and 3, and it's actually 8, 6, and 4 because there's $1 that's added to that. So we changed the sign so that it reflects what is actually coming out of the card because we didn't want people feeling like they got duped. And also the trouble areas. So we found out at homecoming when there was 2,000 people on deck, everybody was on the Wi-Fi, especially in that little area where the food truck was. And it kept crashing those little the little computers we get with GoFan. So Debbie said, you know, we would just wait it out, and you know, we would wait, and then there was times when she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna let them in. So she feels like she let in about 20 people, And some of them circled back to pay after the game had started, but this is the first time in the 15 years that I've been the AD that homecoming did not have a line all the way out to the parking lot at kickoff.
Because if you scan that QR code,
Yeah.
you have your ticket then.
You have your ticket on your phone and then you just walk in. And so, and the other thing that we've done is we've trimmed the number of people that we have to have working the events. Like you'll see, we can reduce the amount for basketball alone. We reduce 2 door slash ticket takers because we don't need that many people there. You know, we don't need 2 at the handing out money. So it's a nice convenience for me because we're running out of people to do it. And I think it's more efficient at the gate. What did you just say about that? I lost my train of thought.
If you guys are walking, if you walk from the parking lot
Oh,
to the
yeah.
football stadium, there's probably 8 of those signs right there that you can
Yeah.
scan there.
You can scan them. We've got them inside the building too and kind of.
Buy your tickets anywhere you want before you even get to the ticket booth.
Yeah,
You can go online previous.
Yeah.
to and-
yeah. And pre-bought, like Chisago Lake, St. Francis, have said that you can't buy them at the gate anymore. You have to pre-buy everything. Like they're cashless too.
So
But
Malacca was pre-buy too. I mean, you could
Pre-buy.
buy them at the gate, but it was way easier just to pre-buy.
pre-buy only. So you have one person standing there with a card reader and then you have this line that goes out and turns past the third Haggis truck. So that was their cash line. And then the people coming in with their pre-buy tickets were just like, boom, grab this and they're on their way in.
Yeah, you just show them the code on the barcode on your phone and just scan it and you're in.
Yeah, it is very slick. I'm hoping that we can continue moving that positively. There's 2 things we're finding in the pool area. We have intermittent signals. For some reason, we're not able to pick up our Wi-Fi there as well. And like I said, the other one was that crash at homecoming. And it crashed a few times. We asked the other 8 schools in the conference what they do. Becker has not gone to online ticketing. Everybody else says they waited out. And I told my ticket people, I don't want people standing there when the game's being played. We've been here long enough, you know, just say, hey, come back at halftime and pay. And a number of our people did that. But talking to Jason, he said, I don't know that we can put that on our, Princeton inside because it's a different device. So we don't have a solution for that yet. For when it crashes, when there's 2,000 people there.
Well, most people are just on their like 5G or whatever, aren't they? I mean, they're not gonna be hooking into our school Wi-Fi to buy a ticket.
Except for like every student that's there.
Yeah.
Every student that's in there, yeah. So
Automatically connect to Wi-Fi.
I think cloud got full. Nobody understands the cloud, but it was full. And the thing, it would shut down in what feels like an hour or 15 minutes is basically just 1 minute to restart the thing back up and get it going, but.
We should be able to somehow with our IT department.
Yeah.
Disable the Wi-Fi, except for certain devices, I guess.
Yeah, we're good. I'll continue to work with Jason on that, but the reason the schools that went to you must pre-buy all your tickets is because they were having those lapses in service on the GoPay devices. So everybody just shows up with it on their phone and then they just read them in and it's pretty slick. I mean, to think that we're doing that, I'm sorry that you're having to field questions or if it's more than 2 people, like if it's a lot, please send them my way. I'd love to work with the people and problem solve with them and their kids. Like the one thing I said to you and I told our ticket people is I don't want kids not being able to come watch their classmates play. We'll figure out how to get them in. And I feel like we've done that. And if there's been an instance where we haven't, I made sure that we've corrected it.
So I've been told anyways, that we've never turned anyone away and if push came to shove, we just allow them to come in, come in.
Come in, please. And then we try to
Yeah, I
help.
did send somebody to you last week, told them to get a hold of you, because we had some staff see somebody getting turned away last week at a game.
Yeah,
And I did tell them to contact you.
yeah, thank you for doing that. And nobody has, and we don't want to do that. So I don't want them doing that. I'd rather they have them come in. And like I said, if the thing shuts down, if that goes down, we don't want them to pay because
Yeah.
that's a big deal
So,
for us.
I mean, historically now, I mean, we've talked about this probably for 3-4 years anyways, as it's been kind of slowly been adopted by other Mississippi 8 schools. We've talked about it in finance, we've talked about it in activities. We felt like we were really late adopters to this, because we were one of the last districts to move towards it. One thing that was a disappointment to me is that we were told, in the summer, by all the Mississippi schools that 8 of the 9 were 100% going cashless. We did find out that 2 of the schools or 3 of the schools did go to allowing cash and credit. So that kind of changed since, August to now. But still the majority are doing it. I mean, I don't know, this isn't like a hill to die on as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's been such a good start of the school year and I hate, this is just something that we've been talking about. I think that this is the last thing that we've actually adopted that is that wasn't cashless, because I think all of our food service, all of our activity fees, pretty much everything had gone to online payment with this rev track and
Pretty much everything is, field trips, everything is.
it's like we had our middle school dance this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I think 100% of it was paid online.
Yeah, wow.
And we didn't have one. I mean, we're kind of that point, folks, that we were getting more complaints that we weren't online.
Right,
Because more people don't carry cash.
right.
Well,
So-
one thing I got that what the board should really, what we need to consider is our seniors. So senior citizens, we had talked about this in the summer, 62 and older are free. But Princeton, if you have a 62-year-old Princeton resident come in, they could come to the district office and get a pass and then they can go to the games for free.
Right,
But what about when grandma and grandpa come from Becker or St. Francis,
right,
they're having to pay
right.
Yeah.
because we don't have anything adopted saying 62 plus is free on there. I think we should really look at that and just senior citizens, 62 and over are free. I mean, how many really are there at events?
Well, we're charging $3 and Michelle, look at this.
Because we got a senior check.
IDs, baby. I think we like to get 33 grand.
Well, let's get something clarified, because I wanna make sure we're accurate. Is it 62 or is it 65?
62, I believe.
It's-
is the
Most
conference
yeah.
locations have been 60.
It's not 65.
It's 62 plus is free, I believe.
I've heard 62
Yeah.
is the one that resonates.
So what we currently have now in Princeton is if you are a Princeton resident and you're 62, we give you a free lifetime pass.
Yep.
And I was told, and I think it said this in what Debbie wrote up, is that she actually carries some of those with her
Yes,
at the gate. So if somebody doesn't have one and they come to the gate and they're a Princeton resident and they're 62, she will issue them one right there. So they don't even have to go in.
I think we should just amend it, just say 62 plus is free, whether you're from Princeton, Foley, Becker, wherever, 62 plus is free. They put in their time.
Yeah, I don't,
we can make it happen, just let me know.
I do know that there are some Mississippi conference schools that do allow just any senior in for free. And that's where, the thing that's really kind of starting to stink with this is for many, many years, there was kind of this handshake agreement in Mississippi 8 that everyone would be consistent with everything they do. And just in the last year or two, it's starting to kind of crumble and people are doing their own thing. And it's all this little stuff, like do seniors get in free, or, the students, or how much a pass costs. Like we do the family max, right? No other school does a family max.
Right.
And do students they get a discount to get in?
If there's a student that plays a sport and they pay their fee, they get a student activity sticker as soon as they pay their fee. So if kids plays hockey and they pay their fee, they get a sticker there and they're in free.
That's a
We
kid
want-
plays baseball, they could register right now for
Mhm.
baseball.
Yep.
Get that sticker saying.
Well, that student section that you saw Friday night. There's not a paying customer in that group. That group on the right-hand side. They're all activities kids supporting their friends and they all have a sticker and. By and large, they're hanging in there. We're
So the students that are not involved, they
they pay with, they either pay with a card, like I had a couple of kids that didn't have a card or a smartphone,
it's a
and they just
student.
came,
Yeah.
then they just came and bought
$5.
a $5 ticket.
Yeah, or I think you can buy a season student pass for
25 bucks.
maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's been consistent for
Yeah,
15
that
years.
was forever.
Yeah.
The only other complaint I've heard, other than the senior citizen thing, is just had a mom say this last week and I never thought of it, is. Because we're cashless at the gate, they don't carry cash, and the concession stand.
Yeah.
Takes only cash only.
Yeah, depending, I
That's a
mean,
good
I know my booster club switched over to
Yeah, like
electronic
a square or
options at
something,
least. But it might be something that our others will have to take a look at.
Well,
and see.
we found out, there's a couple of schools that have been really aggressive with this in our conference. Chisago Lakes, for example, they've gone 100%. They're cashless for everything.
Right.
Concession stand, whatever, you go there. And then, what was it, the Big Lake?
Oh my gosh.
They're using credit cards in their concessions, but if they use a credit card, what do you say, $10 minimum? So he says they're selling a lot of candy.
Yeah,
People
And-
want their candy, but they gotta buy $10 for
and like we've got kids of.
Your sales.
We, Lupke's kids go, they travel, so those little kids, the little Lupke's kids are now big Lupke's kids, so they've worked that white booth. And we are, if we've got 6 people deep at our FFA booth, then that's a $6,000, they're gonna make more money than they ever have. But like a night like homecoming, they're about 5 people deep and they're just running, like they don't see any of the game, but they are going steady. The Big Lake, the $10 discount, they're gonna try to speed it up with that card. Their line, it took forever to get a $2 bucket of popcorn. And it's like, I asked Mark, I'm like, what are you doing? He said, yeah, we gotta try to fix it. We're dysfunctional. We had more staff in there, but we just couldn't get it moving. So I think having both at concessions is gonna be the way to go for as long as we possibly can.
I like having both, cause then I can give my kids $5 and I know that's all they're spending.
Well, I just think that I haven't found anything, like we've got RevTrak, we've got the Cube, we've got the, whatever system they're using in Big Lake has a $10 minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wanna do that to people either. You guys are really good.
Maybe you keep the cash at the concession stand and just school puts an ATM in there.
Well, I mean,
I heard that's not great.
we stand ready to respond to the board's wishes. This is something administratively, we thought it was the right way to go. We certainly, in the early implementation phases, and there's been some small hurdles, but
Yeah.
it sounds like everything that we've been overcoming. It sounds like there's been a couple, folks that have had significant concerns. But from our perspective, from what we've heard, we haven't heard any more than that.
Yeah.
But we want to improve things, we want to make things better, and we don't want to ever turn anyone away. I don't know.
If someone shows up and doesn't have a card, didn't buy it, is there a cash option or is it?
There is not, no. When we let people come in that don't have one, we say, you get one, come back and pay us. But we're not taking cash.
I would like to try to address that senior citizen thing at some point.
What do you want to do with that? I mean, that, to me, again, this is more about
Yeah,
letting people from other towns come in at 62. I don't think, Darren, you have hard feelings one way or the other on that?
No, it's
I don't
a simple
either.
thing for us now. When it was a ticket, like it was a different color ticket because it was a different value.
Mhm.
It was more to do. Now we just eliminate that on our GoFan pricing. So it's a simple thing to do. And we would happily do it.
Do you find that, senior citizens coming in, are they seeing, that they're having, do they have issues with using their phones or, does that take time?
Well, remember, remember Linda, our school nurse for so long, Linda Alexander?
Yes.
She's like, here, give me your phone. And she did. It's just adorable because with Linda, I mean, they're peers. And she's able to just pull their phone over and help them with it. They have been awesome at it. Like the ticket taking ladies, I was worried about them more than I was worried about anybody being hurt about, upset about cash.
I mean, we're gonna lose some money, but not very much.
I was amazed. Like we had both options at our first event, the Zimmerman volleyball one. And I thought Debbie was gonna be the hardest one to move along because, it's tangible, it's a tangible thing to do. And I think in the chaos that is our world, sometimes that's something that they like to do and we have a rhythm. And that first night when she was leaving with the money box, she goes, we're going full cashless. We can do it. Because we had some of our most veteran ticket takers and they picked up how to use the app and the phones and it was slick. And we feel like it has been slick and we're working on the thing that I think that as a conference, we're gonna ask people to do is just buy your ticket before you come.
Mm-hmm.
So you can come in and.
That'll solve your Wi-Fi problems too.
Well, it does. And I know that's why Chisago did that, but Chisago has been kind of brazen with their switches and, I don't know if that's great either.
I always did it ahead of time because I didn't want to be embarrassed at the game.
Well,
So I did my own living room, so I could just walk up there.
But that's real though. There are places in
I
the
didn't know
world.
how to do it, so I figured out how to do it.
But there are places in the world where you don't get the service. And we thought, oh, we'll bring a hotspot out there, but there were 2,000 people there.
Then we will have some differences then too with community ed,
Yeah,
if they're taking cash and. So that's gonna be some mixed signals as well.
yeah, I feel like, we communicated this extremely well. I really appreciate being able to use the district server. Oh, the thought that left my head is back. We found another real gem to this. Like sometimes there are parents that use that football game as daycare. So I'll send their kid with $20 and say, hey, we'll see you at 10 o'clock. And
They don't go?
I had a phone call on Friday. Hey, my daughter doesn't have a smartphone. And I said, oh, what grade's your daughter in? Fifth. I said, well, you should be at the game with your fifth grade daughter, not sending her down the fire road so that we can supervise them. And I said, yeah, the solution for your problem is that you come with your daughter and scan your tickets and come on in.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And good luck in the upcoming election.
Right.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm sorry if this took longer than it should. I thought it was just a 5-minute.
No, I think it's good. Thanks, Darren. I mean, this is an issue that we're gonna have to keep talking about. I don't wanna just. I don't know the right protocol to bring up Eric's question on switching it. If maybe we need to place it on the actual agenda and then you guys can vote on it. So maybe Deb and I can work on that and we can just do that. That's one of those things that you can just do anytime, mid-year, not a big deal, but big picture wise, and this is where I get a little concerned, is that, our activities athletic budget is part of the greater budget. And we know that our expenditures in activities have always been way more than the revenue we get from activities, meaning that we subsidize activities with our general ed fund that we use to educate children. Problem we see is this, the activities expenditures, the inflation with that is significant, right? The officials associations and some of these really high demand shorted positions that there are shortages in, they're increasing their prices substantially. A great example, I don't know which, $50 more for soccer, it's like a big number. So it's like a big percentage per night. And that's pretty much with everything, right? Everything costs more. But in activities, we're not, you know, if you don't ever raise any ticket prices ever. Right, you're not getting any additional revenue, and then you're not getting any addition, we did raise $25 the participation fee, so that was good, but if you don't. If you don't bring in more revenue, then we gotta cut. Right, so where are we cutting? You know, and that's where we tend to, sometimes it goes on the backs of the academic classes. Right, unless we're gonna be cutting activities and sports, and you know, that'll go over like a lead balloon. Right, so it's just something.
Right.
Something to just keep our eye on.
Yeah, just the actual number of that, like I was telling Ben that there's 3 officials for varsity. Boys and girls doubleheader, and we've gone to that because there's fewer officials. So they'll get $85 a game, and the Princeton math on that is $170 for 2 varsity level soccer games. Now, I know it isn't $170 to come in and sub for our, you know, math or Spanish or whatever, like they're making more on that, and nobody's batting an eye because we couldn't get officials. That's why we're playing varsity doubleheader. So it has, you know, and that's times 3. That's 170 times 3. That's for one day, and we play 16 games a year. Thank goodness we don't host 16.
We host them.
Right. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Aaron.
Keep up the good. I appreciate all the support, and go Tigers.
All right.
All right, we'll move on to first reading of some policy. There's a list of the summary of changes there. There's a whole lot on there. Don, did you have anything you wanted to add, or?
Most of them we were just reviewed, and then there is one new one. 507.5 for the SROs. That's a brand new one, so.
Any questions for the policy committee, or? All right, we will see them on our next school board agenda then for a second reading. Dental and health insurance update.
So our insurance committee met early September. We did go out to bid because our provider Sourcewell was going to be transitioning from Health Partners to Blue Cross Blue Shield. So we had the opportunity to go out and basically get a hit a bid in an off year. We were fortunate we did. Health Partners came back with a direct quote to us with a very minimal increase this year and a 8% cap on year 2. Sourcewell could not match those numbers, so we are going to be transitioning, or at least recommending that we transition to Health Partners Direct for 25-26. And with the dental side of that, we also went out for bid. Health Partners proposed had a proposal. However, with the dental side of it, Delta Dental covers their net is much bigger. And so the people that would have some disruption from service by transitioning to Health Partners, even though it's a slightly less fee, we felt like the disruption would be too much. And so we are going to recommend that we stay with Delta Dental for our dental side and then move to Health Partners on our health insurance side.
Any questions from anybody on that? The Delta Dental wasn't, I mean, I know it's not that much more.
No, well, it's about 1.5% maybe change. And with the dental premiums, you're looking at, less than $100 typically for most of them. So it's $5-10 maybe, where on the health side, that 5% could be $200. So we were very fortunate to get the rates that we did with health insurance. We also did have to get an MOU with our largest bargaining unit, is that we would count this as our hit up. So then we are off cycle. And they did approve that as well.
Any questions? All right, we'll move on to action then. Would somebody like to make a motion to accept the Delta Dental Plan for 2025 as presented?
So, second.
Motion's been made by Chad, seconded by Eric Stramberg. Any comments or questions on the dental plan? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, dental is approved. Next is our health insurance. Is there a motion to accept the Health Partners Direct Plan for 2025 as presented?
So moved.
Second. Motion's been made by Eric Stramberg, seconded by Sue. Any comments or questions on that one? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, health insurance is a go. Last thing we need to do is we need to set a meeting for canvassing the election. There's some dates here, so it would be the week of the 12th.
And
And,
the goal here is we just need to find 4 people.
yep, 4 people. I think that's what we did before.
And usually,
This is like a 5-minute meeting normally.
and we've done it as early as 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I thought one time we even did one at lunchtime. Yes, we had enough people to.
Yep, all
I
we
could
need
do
is,
any of those days at like 4 o'clock or the 12th at 6.
so the 12th, we have the task force.
Yeah.
So
At 6
that's
o'clock.
we would have to do it after, like before, I mean.
Before,
Are there
four of us that can
do before the task force?
I could do on the 12th before the task force.
So could I.
Yep.
I can too.
Okay.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric?
do one, yeah, that's fine.
But what time would that be at?
Probably 5, if the task force starts at 6.
You're gonna be sitting around for a while, because like I said, I think the canvassing really will only take you about 10 minutes
5:30.
5:30?
or 5:15.
Where's the task force? Task force is at the middle school?
It's at the high school.
High school, we can have it at the high school, can't we?
Sure.
Just has to be. Just
Have
has
it
to
in the
be
high
posted.
school media center at 5:15, 5:30.
Do 5:30.
5:30, high school.
Yeah, there was no one,
Yeah, we,
People don't really, won't start funneling into the actual task
That's all right, you
meeting
can have
until
people.
10 till.
Yeah, it's a public meeting.
witness it.
5:30
5:30
at the high school media center on November 12th.
Yep.
And we'll know who our 4 new board members are,
Yes, we will.
and we'll know who our president is and all the rest.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
I know.
All right, we better adjourn before we go political.
Right.
Make a motion for adjournment.
How about Lisa? Oh, wait, we gotta make a motion?
That's what he's doing.
No, for the election.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, I make a motion to do the canvassing on November 12th at 5:30
At the high school.
at the high school.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Don, seconded by Sue. Any comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting has been set. We have no additions to the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So,
I heard it so moved like here. You mumbled it.
second.
Motion made by Eric Ming, seconded by Eric Stramberg. All in favor, say aye.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Chloe.